Eric Trump's wife's vagina is a Hemi. Let's. I'm gonna write that down. Make sure I take note of that. It's got some balls. Okay, we're doing good. You ready to rock?
Yeah, let's do a show.
Well, welcome to the Stiff Truth. This is Scott Castelnova. Bob West is on the other end here. And this is a really special show, bro. It's Football Sunday. We're halfway through it.
Bum, bum,
Hey.
bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty good today. I mean, I've had some beverages, and also the Washington football team won, beat the Philadelphia Eagles today, huh? You like that shit?
I do like that shit, especially because of how down you were on Dwayne Haskins and the Washington's chances and the Washington football team's chances of winning before the game. So I'm glad that they stepped it up and probably made your day.
It really did. And you're right. I kind of walked into it just today like I do every single season as a Washington football team fan.
Here comes another 7-9 season, baby. Let's do it.
Dude, that's a good season for us, and you know that. So last year, though,
Do you know that? I'm a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, 3-13 last year, though. You guys did phenomenally better than us last year. But you're right. I walked into it, and we talked about this on the last show. I do always get this kind of really blind optimism, for each Washington football game. But today, as soon as it started off, right out of the gate, 14-0, Eagles ahead, tearing us up, looking like shit. And then all of a sudden, our newly revived defense with lovely Chase Young, you've got Sweat, you've got Kerrigan, you got a lot of just dynamite guys up there to lighten it up. Long story short, end of game, 8 sacks, sack fumble, 2 interceptions. I mean, they really lit it up, 127-17. I couldn't be happier. Like you said, I'm pleased as punch right now. You see, I got the Riggins jersey on, old school.
Big rig.
Yeah, baby. So.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for Riverboat Ron Rivera.
Dude, did you hear he's got cancer?
I did.
That's nuts. What is he doing out there? I guess he's just apparently it's very early stage. I don't know if it's in the throat, like esophageal kind of cancer or something like that. He's taking it in fucking strides. Like, yeah, I'm starting therapy on it here. I feel great though. I'm actually really pissed off about this because I feel so great. I'm just like, wow, this is a interesting perspective the man has. But I guess that just kind of shows the kind of guy he is. You know what I mean? He's a good guy.
Yeah, and you know who else had a really good day today? Adrian Peterson.
Wow, you motherfucker! I'll tell you what.
He had close to 120 yards total offense.
Hey, you know what? Good for him. I never, ever, ever am gonna. I'm never out to get that. I love AP. I wish he would have stayed with the Washington football team, but you know what? He's probably in a better position right now. Be honest with you.
Yeah, he probably wishes he would have stayed too because now he's in Detroit. There's that.
Well, honestly, Detroit, DC, I mean, we're splitting hairs here a little bit, but yeah.
Unless you're like STDs or crime, you don't want to be in Detroit.
This is true. This is very, very true. Very, very
true.
And
I don't know why STDs. I'm just assuming. Goes along with crime and poverty.
I see where you're going there. Really dirty, kind of filthy city. STDs kind of just, they fit into that mold right there. So that makes sense, man. But hey, how have you enjoyed the start of football? I mean, Thursday was the first opening game, but today's kind of like the real, like it's smacking you in the face, man. I mean, let's hear it, baby. Let's hear it.
I think that America needs it. I see all of the people on social media trying to act like, well, if anyone takes a knee and disrespects the flag, I'm never watching another game. And I'm like, yeah. Hit me up about week 3, buddy. I don't buy that argument. I don't know why so many people are invested in athletes' stance on things politically anyway. Like, really, the other day, I didn't even care about the pregame for Houston and Kansas City, who was kneeling, what songs were being played. I was still, like, in there making drinks and, like, getting ready for the start of the game. I don't give a shit about all that. Call me when the kickoff's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, it was nice to see. It was a slow start to that game for Houston. Kansas City looked like it was it hadn't even had an off season since last year.
Honestly,
and then that new rookie running back is ridiculous.
Yeah, we talked about this. He's ridiculous, and we'll see this in game 2, game 3 as we move on. Or does Houston just have a really soft running defense? I have no idea, but he really lit it up, dude. I was fucking impressed. And I remember seeing him in our fantasy football draft, and I was like, I'm not picking up that fucking rookie.
I don't like picking up rookies either, man.
No. And then I always kind of kick myself, and I'm like, damn. Now I see why he was such a big fucking deal, during the draft.
Especially rookie running backs, because all it takes is a couple of missed blitz pickups and their quarterback's getting smashed from the blind side or whatever, and that rookie no longer starts, right? And it's just that simple. So maybe that'll happen or not, but, man, if Kansas City has a running game like that and it's legit, I don't know how you stop them. What do? You got a team that can run 5 or 6 yards of carry on you, or Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce. Like, what the hell do you do against that? You're going to put 7 or 8 in the box and just let Mahomes slice and dice you? Like, there's no defending that. I just don't understand, what the plan is. And then their defense is just like, I think Chris Jones had 3 sacks.
Yeah, and I was actually just about to say, with the setup, if they develop an elite running game, which they didn't have last year, they had a decent running game with all the weapons that he has throwing. Literally, they could probably every other possession let their defense all sit on the sideline and just let the other team score. You know what I mean? It's that fucking lopsided, if you ask me. I'm hoping another team like Baltimore or even like the Saints or maybe even the Buccaneers, who knows? I hope somebody else starts lighting it up and maybe can bring some competitiveness from the other side, especially. I mean, I'm talking about the NFC too, but right now I'm not seeing that kind of shit yet. But who knows? I mean, we're only halfway through the day right now. You know what I mean? So there's still a lot of games to be had.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen today, Kansas City's the best team in the NFL as far as week 1, and it's not even close.
Yeah, well, this is true.
So
this is true.
We'll see. Until the Cowboys play tonight, they're just going to blow everyone's mind. No, they're not.
Well,
they'll have. It's going to be a normal season. They're going to have all this talent, have the best team they've ever had, or the best team they've had in 10 years, or whatever Jerry Jones is going to say, and then they're going to play a game, lose at the end, and then finish 8-8. That's Cowboys football right there.
And that puts you right smack in the area where you don't get a good draft pick, for the next year. You know what I mean? It's
perpetual mediocrity. That's what's up. I love it. That's what fans want. They want consistency.
I was just about to say that. At least you guys got some consistency, man. No, and I do got I gotta piggyback on what you were saying too, because I did notice too, and I'm sure you probably saw this. It was even they was talked about the next day on ESPN with there was some fans in the stand at Arrowhead, and okay, I'll go ahead and kind of admit this here. I'll say the beginning of the game was slightly over the top with how many different things they had to do before they actually started playing. But you know what? Let them do what they're going to do. That's fine. They've got a platform. It's a crazy year. There's a lot of shit going on, and they have a lot of passion about it. That's fine. But I think it was after 2 different national anthems and different singing by, 2 sets of people, and then the ring or whatever of unity that they did, people started booing. You could hear people in the stands booing, and I was like, well, that's slightly, unkind.
Good thing they weren't in Philly, huh? People would have been hit with batteries.
Seriously. But again, I was sitting there watching it. I was like, can you hear the booing? I was like, yeah. Well, I was like, I guess to a certain extent, people just I think they want to watch football and get away. And maybe it's the wrong thing to do, but maybe unplug a little bit from what's going on in the world. And now here they are getting smacked in the face with it again, over and over again before the game. But I said the same thing. I was like, you know what? If you don't like it, dude, go make a cocktail, go do something else, turn the game on 10 minutes after, kickoff or whatever. It's smooth sound. Who cares? Football is football. It's super fucking exciting to have it back in full force. Now I'm pumped. I'm really pumped.
It's the first taste of a return to normal, really, that we've had. I mean, there was, baseball and hockey are going, and hockey's actually fairly, more normal. Baseball is not at all. They got cardboard people in the stands and these empty stadiums, very weird, very quiet. But basketball did a pretty good job. But those games are anything but, quote, normal.
Mm-hmm.
So to have the football going, especially college football, as soon as the first college football game came on, I watched it, and I don't care if it was the swarming Mormons trying to, beat up the Navy. Uh, I watched it anyway because it was football, man. And again, we do all need that break, and we need to be able to detach a little bit from this year. It's just
Yeah.
one thing after another. If it's not Mother Nature, it's politics. If it's not politics, it's buildings blowing up. It's just crazy. So just
Yeah.
to be able to sit down and drink a beer and watch some football and focus on the plays, the game, the emotion of that, it is a nice escape. I welcome it.
Yeah, and you got tripped up there. I know what you were trying to say. You're like, and kick back, drink some beer, focus on those nice asses and those tight pants. I know where you were going there, but you kind of switched a little bit.
They must work out.
They do. They do a lot of squats and deadlifts. Those guys, you can tell you can crack an egg on that thing. But with that being said, though, I do gotta say right now, my heart goes out to everybody really, really all over the West Coast right now in the fires, man. Those are fucking horrendous, dude. I'm sure you've seen, man, like there's been images of the sky and California, Oregon, and Washington that literally look like Martian kind of sky, like fucking blood red, dirty, nasty shit. Apparently there's the worst air quality right now in the world is on the West Coast. And then we were talking about this yesterday. If that's not bad enough, and again, I hope everybody's, my family, hope everybody stays safe out there and they get that under control soon. Then you flip to the other side of the country. I was telling you, I was watching the news the other day and they're like, yeah, the fucking fires are just fucking raging. They're just going crazy. And then let's go check out the tropics where another tropical storm is turning into a hurricane and about to smash into somewhere in the Gulf Coast. You don't know if it's going to be Louisiana, Texas, whatever.
Yeah, I think it's projected like around Mississippi area right now, right?
Yeah. Well, that's okay with me then.
Not a whole lot lost there or what?
if that's the collateral damage we're dealing with, we can chalk that up as a loss and just move on. But no, seriously, it's craziness right now. So you're right. Great to have football back. Great to have football back. And hey, another little slice of normalcy. Our little fantasy football draft. That was fun on Wednesday,
yes,
wasn't
it? This year we get to welcome Scott to the league. So Scott's a 10-year fantasy football player, as am I. But I co-commission a league and have for, I think this is our 6th season. I've been playing for, man, I can't believe it, 16 years now.
Wow.
So that's intense. But now we had an open spot, only one. I gave it to Scott, and Scott is now in the league. And I hope you are able to stay and get another 16 years in this league because it is a 48-year trophy. So we have a ways to go.
Well, I'll just say first, I'm honored. Thank you for bringing me in the fold, my friend. It was funny too because I was in a league past couple of years for the people that I work with. What's strange about this too, and it's kind of I shouldn't feel this way about it, but it was a league that was like created while everybody still worked in one of the offices and they all got let go, like within a couple of years ago. So most of these people are ex-colleagues of mine that we don't really talk anymore at all besides like when we start to do fantasy football. But honestly, just for some reason, I just didn't feel it this year. I got the text like, hey man, you in? I'm like, I'm going to bow out, dude. Just going to bow out. And it mainly was, I don't know. It's not like I dislike or anything like that. Any of the people, I love a lot of these guys, but just kind of fed up with it, bro. And then here we go. Kind of, a fate kind of thing. You had an open spot. I just kind of rolled right in and, being the new guy, got 12th pick, which is always painful. I'll tell you that right now. If we want to talk about the draft specifically, when I'm sitting there with my list of people I want to draft and I'm like, okay, no, fuck, no, God damn it. No, I was like, nobody's going to grab this guy. Oh, shit, fuck, damn it. And then I kind of get like this. I'm good on the first couple of rounds. Don't get me wrong, because I get 2 picks in a row. But after, I think it was like the 3rd or 4th round, I almost get like a picking like paralysis. You know what I mean? Like, fuck, who do I pick up now? And then I'm
not going to get to pick for like 3 more rounds. It doesn't even make sense with the math, but that's the way it feels.
Yeah, it does feel like that. I feel like it's like, okay, it's my turn. And then it's like 24 more goes, it feels like, until it's my turn again or something. It's rough, but it was fun. I love I love the rush and the excitement and the kind of the pre-draft jitters that you get. You know what I mean? Because literally, I was doing some studying. I had like a whole couple of sheets worked up and everything. And then it's go time. And then I think I might have had, honestly, during the draft, I think I probably had like 6 or 7 alcoholic beverages. I was tuned up by the end of the draft. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and you know, my family tries to talk to me, and I'm like, later. It's intense.
You'll get the fuck out of here.
People are starting to auto pick. Things are starting to move quickly. I can't do it. So I mean, and normally because of COVID, it's you know, the rules are changed a little bit this year, but you know, normally it's a really cutthroat league. So I think you're going to enjoy it. There's some gamers in this league.
Sorry, yeah, it's just fun times, man.
Maybe you can get your name on that trophy. I have mine on there.
Ooh, well, is something. That's something to aspire to. I mean,
the 2018 league champ right here. 2018.
you got quite a lot of accolades. I'll tell you that right now, my friend. 16-year veteran, 2018 champ. God damn, that's impressive, sir. I like that. Now, fun times though. But again, another thing that's kind of normal, and like we didn't even know for a little while. Like, let's take it back a few months ago. You know what I mean? I was like, shit. I really hope COVID doesn't fuck up football, man. God, that really not only fucks up every Sunday, Thursday, and Monday night, but then it fucks up the whole fucking fun of just having fantasy. I'm on my phone constantly on Sundays, and I'm getting fucking really angry about ridiculous games I would never care about because I got a player on that team. It's
Man,
fun.
I love having to watch the Browns and the Chargers and being so fired up about it because I've got a flex guy going and I'm down by like 8. I love it because you would never give 2 shits about a game like that. But when you're in fantasy, it matters. So like Jessica's team's the Broncos. My team's obviously the Cowboys. So I learned early on a long time ago to not load up on your team because then it makes games terrible. But I do have a Cowboys so that I still have a reason to get excited if I'm playing that guy and have something invested. But it's not like my whole team for the week is riding on the Cowboys' wins and losses. Dear God, don't do that. But then I have a couple of Broncos so that I can watch the Broncos game, but then actually have something invested to be rooting for the Broncos. Whereas normally I'm just watching it because that's Jessica's team, and I don't really care if they win or lose or whatever. But now, oh no, absolutely, I care if they win. Go Melvin Gordon.
Well, and I noticed too, you got Drew Lock on your bench too, and I was like, that was a Jessica pick. That was a pure.
It was just to kind of keep it there, keep it exciting. Maybe if he starts doing good, get some trade bait, that sort of thing. And then with Melvin Gordon, I figured, maybe if I have some injuries or something, I just use those guys, try to double up on any passes or something or whatever.
You made a fantastic point though. When I started fantasy years ago, I had to go with my heart. I thought I did, right? So I would always pick up Redskins. And I can say that because at the time they were the Redskins. And I would at least have 2 or 3 Redskins in my starting lineup. And boy, that never boded well, bro. Especially because who every year we talked about this too. What's his name? Tight end. He's done now. He's got
Jordan Reed.
Yeah, he's got like 20 concussions.
Jordan and I play 3 games a year, Reed.
He's the most athletic tight end in the game for 3 games. He's a preseason warrior. I'll tell you that right now. But yeah, every single year I picked him up because he was always available, right? And every year he was healthy again at the start of the season. I'm like, oh, dude, Jordan Reed is going to light it up this year. I would always pick him up.
This is the year he plays all 16 games. This is it. And then sure enough, by the first through third game, dude, he's out again. Another concussion. He'd come back a little bit later. And because of his unreliability and his health, and goddamn, that guy's probably got some serious head injuries now. But he was one of them. Deshaun Jackson was probably the only, when he did play for the Redskins, was probably the only fruitful Redskin that I had. Yeah, I have to say that right now. Because I did have AP, but AP was pretty, you know what I mean? He was hit or miss, so. Tough times. Yeah, I get you, man. It's really tough. So as a league veteran, for all you youngsters out there that may listen that play fantasy, do not invest in your own team unless you're a Chiefs fan.
I was actually just about to say that. I was like, unless you're a Chiefs guy, go ahead. You can go all in on that because you could have Tyreek Hill, you could have Mahomes, you could have Kelsey. Boom. Right there, you're good. And now,
if you have all that, you cheated in your draft. So.
Yeah, obviously you're the commissioner in a dirty draft. You know what I mean? So
Right. You
not
paid the
good
third person $100 to not pick them so that you can get them fourth.
Yeah. Well, and I got to tell everybody too here. This is tough for me and Bob. We've had to do some juggling here because of football season going on now without a hitch and everything. We've had to alter everything about the show. If you think about it, it'll basically be starting next week, right? We normally meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's now changed to Mondays and Wednesdays. But Bob,
and I was just thinking about that.
Monday's going to be hard.
Monday's going to be hard. We need to do it early.
Yeah, like literally, as soon as we're done working, like get on the phone now. Let's talk. Let's throw around some topics.
I'll call you on the way home from work, and we'll just meet on that commute.
Exactly. We're going to have to do that. And then now we haven't really decided 100% yet, but we're just going to have to, like right now we're literally, a cat out of the bag, again, movie magic, but we're in between the morning games and the afternoon games right now. I got to watch the Washington game.
Well, the 5:00 game, the Sunday night game, because the Bengals are playing right now.
It's true. And you got AJ Green.
I do.
I bet you're itching to look at it, aren't you?
No, I'm okay, man. I got priorities.
You got it on your other screen, don't you?
if it were like playoff time and I'm like a half game out, then it'd be difficult. But in week 1, I'm okay.
Oh, well, that's good stuff, man. Now, again, I know, and you know what? Honestly, and I got to say this too, because I really, and I think Bob, you'll second this, but for anybody that listens to the podcast, if you don't like football, well, go fuck yourself. You're going to hear a little bit of it here and there now on the show in the coming weeks. So
yeah, and not a lot of it, but we are avid fans, and it will come up. I do try to keep my audience in mind, but in the end, we got to be us, and that's why people listen to the show to begin with. And some of that us is football.
Yeah. Well, this will probably be the most, I guess, healthy time that we're going to spend on football, being that it's opening season. We may probably talk about this a little bit more as we get into the playoffs or what have you. But no, I jest, my friend. Here I am, just making jokes, being a jokester, a trickster. You know what I mean? No,
I do.
I have ears and a brain, and I comprehend what people say. Yeah, no, I got you, bud. Oh, I got to ask you this here. Totally left field real quick, man. Have you watched Cobra Kai?
Yeah, dude. Well, I have YouTube TV. It's been out on YouTube TV for a couple years now.
I understand that. They just put it on Netflix recently. Sorry, I'm not a badass like you. But have you watched all of it? The first 2 seasons?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Of course.
I had teary eyes on the last couple episodes.
It's badass, dude. I've been waiting for season 3 for like a year. It's ridiculous.
Oh, and it looks like, I hope so at least, it looks like that Elizabeth Shue might come back as Allie in season 3.
How about that?
That really completes the puzzle. And I actually went down a little bit of a rabbit hole too, and I saw a couple of YouTube interviews with her talking about it. And she's like, I haven't ruled it out, but she had like a really kind of, Elizabeth Shue kind of.
Well, I love that they got the band back together, and everyone, obviously you can't bring Miyagi back, but if you could, let's talk business. But other than that, they got everyone's back.
Yeah, seriously.
Even the guy that the Cobra Kai guy from the original movie that was like sick in the hospital.
Oh yeah, that's the guy that's like, put him in a body bag, like that guy. Yeah.
Apparently he really did die. Like he really was sick.
Oh wow.
So they added him into the show, and they kind of like got what they could out of him. So
wow,
apparently he did pass though, but they wanted to get him in the show and
that's
get everyone
intense.
together.
Because I was actually talking about that with Jamie. It was last night we were watching that. I was like, dude, that guy looks horrible. You know what I mean? Like he looked, compared to everybody else in the room, right? They all look like they're in their, let's just call it what it is, like late 40s, early 50s. And that guy looked like he was like 65 and with cancer, And then Jamie's like, I think they just did some really good makeup on him. I don't know if he looks that bad, but I had no idea that was the case. That makes it even more of a tearjerker. God damn. Guys, if you haven't got out there and watched Cobra Kai, you got no excuse now, because it was on YouTube Red, right, or whatever initially, and now it's on Netflix. So there's literally no excuse. Get in there and watch it. It's one of the best goddamn shows of all time, hands down. I'm just gonna say that now.
I'm just gonna fact check that, but yes, I didn't want to say someone died if they didn't, but like I said, it had been a while since I'd watched it, but yes.
Well,
Rob Garrison was the guy that played that from the Karate Kid. He was 59, and he did indeed pass. So
What did he pass away from?
and let me check it out.
Yeah, get in there.
Oh, I'm gonna.
He's those sweet internet skills he got. Oh, look at Bob go. I mean, you guys can't see this. I can. I mean, unless you're watching the YouTube video. He's quite sexy when he's looking around on the internet. I'll tell you that right now. He's investigating. The eyes are moving, lips moving a little bit. He's licking his lips for some reason. I think he's touching himself too. I don't know what's going on. Bob, that's good stuff.
It looks like cancer because they're talking about organs and organ failure and final treatment. Kidney liver issues is what he was hospitalized for.
Tough times, man.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it right away, and I don't want us to just sit here while I try to read and find this, but I'll keep looking throughout the show and see if I can figure out what the cause of death was. But from the looks of him and the looks of like why he was hospitalized, I would go ahet and throw it out there that it was most likely cancer.
It looks like something like that. I mean,
that's kind of what gets us all, right?
1 in 3 gets some form of cancer. I just have that stat from my recent open enrollment, just so you know. Got that little one as I scare you into getting more expensive insurance. But anyways, without talking about any more of that negative downer kind of stuff, it's a great show. But Bob, I don't know about you. I've had some beers today, but I think it's time for us to go mix up a cocktail.
Ooh, an early cocktail. I like that. I have a beer too, but I'm down to save it. I mean, AJ Green's only got 3 catches, so I'm going to need a drink.
Let's go get one, buddy.
All right, man.
Cheers, Scotty. Oh, cheers all the way. Cheers to your tits.
Cheers for fears.
Oh, it's a great band.
Cheers for beers.
Cheers. Go ahead and recline that thing all the way back. Pour yourself a nice little bottle of bubbly.
Don't you fucking look at me like that.
Bob West, you crazy old son of a bitch. How's it going?
Pretty good.
You always come back eating something else. I feel like you have like a full Golden Corral buffet downstairs or something like that while we're doing this show.
There's chocolate covered raisins.
See what I'm saying? You know what I mean? There's always that weird little bowl with a big giant spoon for your chocolate covered raisins to put on your salad, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, my marshmallow salad.
It sounds like diabetes. Oh, nice work. Here you go. I don't have any window dressing on it. Not bad though.
That is a lucky charm.
That is. Oh, you even got the rim all nice and sugared up.
Oh yeah, dude. No, I've rimmed it.
Well, yeah, you rim it all right. That's for sure. You're good at those. This is a good drink. Good drink though.
I go ahead and go with a full shot of limoncello instead of the 1 ounce.
Good for you. I went with the recipe. So just so all the Stiffies know, this is not a super original drink, but me and Bob decided that we fucking really like limoncello. So, you know, we're having another drink with limoncello in it, and it's essentially a whiskey sour with limoncello in it. So we got we got about 1.5 ounces, a standard shot of bourbon. Correct? Oh,
there we go. Sorry about that.
Everybody saw your naked green screen for a minute. That was cute.
It's okay. It's gonna be okay. I'm not ashamed.
Well, it's actually pretty impressive, Bob. There's nothing to be ashamed about, okay? But yeah, you got a standard shot of straight bourbon. I used Maker's Mark. I barely have enough left too, which is good. I could probably make 1 or 2 more of these bad boys. And then it calls for 3/4 of an ounce actually of limoncello, so a little less than like literally a half a shot essentially. You know what I mean? And then 2 ounces of lemon sour mix, whatever. And then if you have it, I didn't have it. I couldn't find fucking mint leaves anywhere, dude. So mine is minus the mint, and apparently that's a big thing for it. So I fucked up a little bit, Bob. I'm sorry. Will you ever forgive me?
I garnished mine with the lemon, so
good for you. Well, and it says that's an optional garnish too. So
I did. So we talked about this, and we're like, well, this recipe, honestly, it just tastes like a whiskey sour. However, if you go with the full shot of limoncello, and with the glass rimmed with sugar like it is, it actually tastes like a lemon drop martini.
Ooh.
But made with whiskey. It's
best of both worlds right there, buddy. I like what you did. I really do. Good for you.
So for all of you Stiffies out there, Cheers. Cheers.
All 25 or 30 of you, or maybe less. I don't know.
Hey. We're averaging 34 listeners per episode just on our podcast.
That's true.
So you combine that with YouTube and it's like 38.
Oh, the infancy of the show is fun. Don't get me wrong here, bud. Well, I'll tell you what. No, another dandy of a cocktail, and it's a little bit different. Like I said, it's a little bit different than usual. Bob and I will tweak things. We will get things dialed in. But this is definitely not my first cocktail today. I've already had about 5 beers, so this is gonna tune me up. I will say though that I'm still. Because I spread it out so much, the first 5, and then I had lunch and everything. I'm just now getting in the picking up chick zone. You know what I mean? So we're doing good.
I'm not even there yet, but I have another beer here that I can slam. So
should I just kind of like do a little interlude music while you pound that thing?
No, I just want you to chant 80s style with a slow build up, chug, and then I'll get there.
Chug. Chug, 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 chug. He's like, nice work, Bob. Wow, you fit that whole martini glass in your mouth. That was impressive.
I'll just throw it in there.
Well, Bob, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say that the full limoncello shot of this thing and the sugar on the rim.
That's the way to
really
fly.
Changes it up, dude. Really changes it up.
I would like you to put sugar on my rim next time you give me a job. Just
how about some simple syrup?
No, just sugar. I like it grainy.
Which, by the way, you can make simple syrup with stevia, or like a Splenda real sugar 1-to-1 mix or whatever. But I tried it with monk fruit. No go.
Not good at all, huh?
And here I am with blurry face.
That's okay. I just figured my drink is kicked.
Blurry face, and I care what you think.
I care what you think. That's a nice little tune, Bob. Well, I'll tell you what.
Don't thank me. I thank 21 Pilots.
Oh yeah, well, I will. But I'm gonna thank you. You're the guy. You're the guy, Bob.
Okay, look, I'm back. I'm back, and I'm greener than ever. It's still blurry.
Oh no.
Here's what I'm gonna do.
You're taking everything else out of the frame that could possibly tweak where it's focusing?
Yes.
It's still not working. That's okay.
Down.
That's okay. I'm calm. Calmer than you are, dude. Oh, my goodness.
That's interesting.
Why Bob fucks around with his camera that doesn't have any focus, apparently. I think we're going to jump into this conspiracy theory.
Jump on in. Feet first.
I'm going to jump in balls first, but Bob, shit, we're good. We're taking it way back. Who doesn't love pizza? You know what I mean? But Bob, roll this out for us here, Bob, because you brought this to my attention here. Now, I just feel that you know a little bit more about the background, and I honestly feel that you may be a little bit more versed in the ionosphere and be a weather expert too. So, can you roll out what we're talking about today and give us a little background?
Sure. In 1993. Sorry, I was thinking of an Ice Cube song. So that was 1994. 1993, the high frequency active, this is a tough one, auroral research program.
Good job.
Rolled out. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's the acronym is HAARP, HAARP. And you can see it here for the YouTubers
if you look at it, or you can see the close up of the antennas in my background here. They're really quite they're kind of ominous looking, bro, and quite impressive. I will say that for a layman, uneducated about what they're doing person that I am, I'm a little intimidated by it. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, it looks pretty crazy. And there's just like wires going everywhere. It looks like an antenna array, and it's all gridded out. Probably a few hundred yards in each direction. It's pretty much square, maybe a little bit rectangular. Mm-hmm. But this thing lives in the middle of like bumfuck nowhere, Alaska, right? So
Gakona, Alaska.
Gakona. It is. So this is like in the middle of nowhere. It's not by the coast. There's no baby seals to club. There's just
Oh.
it's out in the middle of nowhere, and there's this huge building that lives with it. That's where everyone works, right? And in that building, there's actually 5 huge diesel powered generators that you might see in like a backup generator for a building or a hospital or something like that. If you've ever been in the facilities room of a generator room of a hospital or anything.
They're pretty impressive, actually. I think these are the largest motors GM has ever built, they were saying in something I was watching. This is pretty impressive.
Yeah, they're huge. Even saying that, they generate power in, megawatts, not gigawatts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even having said as much power as they generate, there's not a whole lot of power going to these things. I mean, you look at the nuclear facility in Phoenix, I think does like 3.5 gigawatts.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This thing produces like 5 megawatts. So that, do the math there. I'm no Andrew Yang, but that's like 1,000 times less power. so these things don't have.
Hold on. Let me get out my. No, you're right. You're right. I just got out my calculator. Actually, right. on the dot, 1,000 less.
Right. So these things aren't powered greatly. There's a misrepresentation of kind of how it's powered and how it's labeled out there, right? So scientists say that, so let's explain what it does. Mm-hmm. Right. So what it really does is it shoots up a high frequency radio signal up in the air to cover a grid that is this size out into our ionosphere, which is the outermost layer of our planet. Right. Mm-hmm. So what it does is it actually does kind of heat up this little square, this little square slice of ionosphere a little bit. But the reason that it's doing that is they're researching radio interference, how to get across radio interference, increase the signal, get more clarity. So the idea for all of this, at least what's unclassified, what they're doing, the whole reason this exists, is they want to be able to increase radio communications to nuclear power deep water subs. And they also want to be able to, essentially try to spy on other people's radio networks from the other side of the planet.
And from what I understand too, they also want to just see how the ionosphere, how it works more, because there's some natural disturbances that interrupt radio waves and frequencies, like sunburst and other kind of things too. So they want to kind of understand that more and how they can maybe get around those things and understand, like, for lack of a better term, just like I don't know, like to overcome those obstacles when they're doing this kind of stuff, right? That's what I'm understanding too. So basically to really upgrade radio frequencies and radio transmissions and understand why these natural disturbances happen and how they can overcome them moving forward, kind of deal.
Now, the fun part about this is
that sounded way too logical. Yeah, that sounded way too logical.
Right. It's freaky looking, right? It just looks freaky. And when you're talking about heating up the ionosphere, people are like, well,
that sounds scary.
If you heat up a patch of the sky, then you could create up and down drafts, maybe affect hurricane or tornado patterns. Theoretically, yes, you probably could, but it would need a ton of power, like miles and miles of square acreage of these arrays. You would need so much, and then so much to power them to actually do anything.
Yeah, like from what I understand too, the kind of power that worries conspiracy theorists about this, to be able to control the weather, manipulate the weather, control people's minds. There's all kinds of things they really get into here. But you would need probably about 50 or 60 all around this little area behind you, the most high-powered nuclear power plants behind you, like 50 or 60 of them. And that one's in Russia, all going at one time.
And if no one's ever really thought about it, the country that pins down being able to control the weather at their discretion, potentially runs the world. Because you can have your nuclear arsenal, that's fine. You nuke a country, say you nuke the shit out of North Korea because they attack us and whatever, and then they get completely wiped out. So there goes South Korea, because of all the nuclear fallout or whatever, and there goes millions of people. That land is useless for a couple hundred years. Like no one's going to be there. So that's the thing about nuclear weapons. They're very devastating, but they also destroy everything for lifetimes. If, say, you were able to create a tsunami to go and just kind of wipe out North Korea, within a few years, it's completely gone with just no people on it anymore. Then that's just a for instance. The same with a hurricane that can generate winds up to like 250 miles an hour will just go flatten everything for a section of land until it goes across so much land that it just can't, be a hurricane anymore. But up until that point, that land would be completely wiped clean, but it would be completely inhabitable. Right? It would be useful right away. So again, like the need for creating weather control has gone back. Let's revisit the old OSS. What is the
You got it.
Operation of Service Strategies? I think it's Operation of Service Strategies. But anyway,
Office of Strategic Services.
Oh, there we go. So
it's the CIA before the CIA.
Wartime. Interesting thing about the OSS and why I even mention it is
because they're cool.
As far as weather control goes, there was a project back in the day, and let me get this name right, just because I don't want to, fuck that up. Let's keep a little bit of integrity here.
Yeah, just a slice of integrity, for Christ's sakes. We're hanging on a thread here, Bob. The other thing too, I want to mention while you're looking that up too, is this facility gets a lot of flack. I'll tell you that. They get most of the attention. But the other thing that I noticed, Bob, and I think we talked about this earlier, there's like about 3 or 4 other almost exact replica type facilities across the world. There's one in Puerto Rico. There's one in Norway.
Yeah, that's our other one. We have 2.
Yeah, and there's one in Russia that literally have, I think, a little bit more power to them, but nobody really talks about them because, and I think this is the big reason why too. Here's the other kind of draw to it for conspiracy theories. Who originally commissioned the construction and the research? It was the Department of the Navy, it was the Department of the Air Force, and it was the
DARPA.
DARPA, the Department of Defense. So that's a little suspect on why, to people that are uninformed, it's a little suspect on why those departments, government departments, basically for national security and defense, would be, figuring out about, the ionosphere. But like you had mentioned too, it really boils down to giving better transmission and radio signals to subs and things like that. So again, it's really not that far-fetched, but that's the other thing. And then here's the really interesting thing too, Bob, as you know. And I watched the hearing on this, which was very boring. You ever watch C-SPAN? It's very, very boring, dude.
Oh yeah, man. That's where I got my awesome cut from Guilfoyle.
Yeah. But I was watching going down the rabbit hole yesterday, just trying to get as much information on HAARP as possible. There's really not a plethora of information about this, but one thing I did see is there was a hearing with somebody from the Department of Defense, a scientist that worked up at HAARP, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Air Force. They were kind of leading the charge. They were the big dogs up there, and they had said that they had got it was valuable research at the time, right? And this was, I want to say, mid 2000s, maybe close to 2010ish, somewhere around there. They had gotten the research and the information that they needed. It was very valuable, but they literally saw no more value and funding HAARP, right? So basically without that, they're like, yeah, we're done with it. And the Navy said the same thing. And then the scientist that was there too, kind of representing, I can't remember exactly what study he was doing. He's like, yeah, no, we're done too. Like, we don't have any more use for this thing anymore, which we could take 2 ways, right? If you're a conspiracy theorist, it's like, oh, they're trying to cover it up, or they're trying to get away from it, or we found out too much about it, or whatever, right? But no, they literally just gave it to the University of Alaska Fairbanks and kind of like wiped their hands clean with it and moved the fuck on. They said, we've got other things that we want to study about the ionosphere, and this is not relevant anymore. So that was kind of interesting too.
Well, it was built in 1993, so it could be feasible that they got all the information that they needed from it.
Yeah.
I found my guy. So
Good for you.
rolling back to the beginning of the United States government looking into weather manipulation, and I know this isn't exactly HARP, but I do want to hit on this. The man by the name of Eero Saarinen, right? He is the guy that actually designed the St. Louis Arch.
I watched something about this. I'm glad you brought it up.
In the early 1940s, he was working for the OSS.
Motherfucker.
So specifically on weather manipulation. And the design that he had come up with to start testing with was coincidentally a giant fucking arch. Bum, bum, bum. So I did want to bring that into it. And I do want to just to make a point that the U.S. government has looked into weather manipulation for 80 years. This isn't something new. So with the conspiracy theories, saying that HARP is a weather manipulation device, I could see why people could say that because it's definitely happening. I don't know if this is the facility that it's happening at, but if you were looking at something, say you wanted to look at something small that you could scale with your findings. So if you could look at something like HARP and throw it out there and get your information, but then say this is kind of how they did the atomic bomb planning, right? With their small test or whatever, then they knew, well, if we make a bomb this size and we do the math over here and we add this, like making a devil's punch bowl instead of just a devil's punch cocktail. You could throw more at it and make it and scale it out, right? So are they gathering information from HARP to potentially add exponential variables onto it to say, well, if we can do this, then theoretically, if we need to, we can build out this or whatever at this size and power and actually accomplish what we're trying to get out of this? Maybe.
That's slightly feasible. That is slightly. I can swallow that pill. Meaning, like, I mean, it does.
I bet you can.
Yeah, it's a horse pill.
Asshole.
But no, that at least is palatable in the sense that it's logical with exactly what you're saying. Like, hey, they've done this before. Let's try this on a very small scale. If it works, and then we know that we can multiply the power that we need to actually do these devious things. Yeah, okay, I get it. But again, for what it is, right? For what HARP is, it's not nearly as powerful for anything that the conspiracies lead on to. Now, whether or not it's a pet project to like kind of see if it's possible and then do it on a grander scale, that's something interesting. I'm glad you touched on that. Now, one thing that I'll say too is just looking into this. One of the big concerns is fucking with the ionosphere. And I like saying that. It's a fun word, by the way. Not only is it the outermost layer of the Earth, but it's fun to say. Mesosphere is pretty fun too. These are fun things. I kind of wish that I did a little bit more of this.
How about xenosphere?
How about xenophobia? These fucking foreigners. But yeah, no, they're all very fun. But here's something that I thought was pretty interesting too about the conspiracies. Is this is from a Russian military, but it also from the guy Nick. How do you fucking say this guy's name? Nick Bedrick. I don't know. Anyways, the guy that like the son of the politician that went missing. Right, that's the huge conspiracy theorist about this. Do you remember how to say?
Oh yeah. I don't remember how to say his name.
Yeah, fuck him. Anyways, but one thing that they said is testing on the ionosphere would trigger a cascade of electrons that could flip the Earth's magnetic poles. That sounds pretty intense. So there's these kind of things too that we're leading into. If you want to get into like some of the crazier stuff, and here's the other thing I thought was pretty interesting too. This is already what you're probably going to discredit it right away, but let me say his name with a straight face without like being hooked to conspiracy theories. But Jesse Ventura, he did
a show on HARP.
Yeah, the very credible ex-governor of Minnesota and one of the stars of the original Predator movie, he was very concerned that they were fucking around up there at HARP and potentially doing stuff that could control mind control, right? Or again, disrupting or controlling weather. And he tried to take a team of people up there. He was denied his request to go up there. And he went up there anyways because he's a badass motherfucking guy. And then they would not let him in the facility. So that again just kind of added a little bit more fuel to the fire for conspiracy theorists because they didn't let him in there. Now, with that being said, you go to the other end of the table. HARP the people at HARP started hearing that there's all these conspiracy theories about the facility, and they literally, and this was after it was decommissioned really for the military and everything, they have open houses, dude, like every year or every other year, where they literally let the public come in there, tour it. They have fucking speakers and, lectures that go on, and they show them everything, and they kind of just, go around. And from what I understand too, is there's absolutely, again, allegedly, there's nothing that is classified or sealed about what they're doing at HARP. Everything is open to the public. So there's that.
Well, yeah, I would stress the allegedly on that, because if it were classified, you wouldn't know that it was classified, because they wouldn't be, the government wouldn't be inclined to tell you that there's also classified material. They would just not talk about it, because if you're entitled to view classified material, you don't tell people that are not entitled to view it about it.
This is true. But the only reason I say that, opposed to say what we talked about last week with Skinwalker Ranch, is what the government, what NIDS did up there and their findings is fucking classified and sealed. So there's obviously something there that can't be said, or they want to keep away from the general public. And they just don't feel the same way about this. Now, maybe that's a strategy. Maybe that's a deflection strategy, right? It's like, hey, no, we're just totally declassified. Come up here, bring your fucking family. Sit under the antennas for all we fucking sit on the antennas. We don't give a shit. It's fine. Everything's fine. I don't know.
Well, it's no longer government owned.
No, it's owned by the University of Alaska Fairbanks.
Right. And so ever since that transition, in fact, they've been inviting an open house day every year, so that you really can go up there and view it. But what does that fucking mean unless you're a fucking astrophysicist or electrical engineer? I mean,
it means absolutely nothing.
And it means nothing.
Yeah. In fact, I watched something where a couple of people went up there and they listened to all these lectures. They toured the place, and when they left, they're like, "Well, now we just have more questions than we got answers to." And I'm like, "Yeah,
I'm an IT guy, so I'm going to go up to HARP and look. I just see a bunch of fucking cables and wires and antennas. Cool. This means nothing to me."
You're all, looks legit.
Right. Just throw your finger in the air. You lick your finger. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. It all smells good up here. So, HARP. What is it? I don't know. I wanted to talk about it because it's kind of a lesser known thing, and it's something that we do, the U.S. does, and has always done fairly out in the open. I mean, it's huge. You can't miss it. And not too many people really know about it. In fact, when I brought it up, I don't even know if you knew about it. Did you?
No, I thought literally we're going to get out. I had to go buy a harp and start learning how to play a harp. I was really kind of confused at first. I was like, well, it's a pretty old school, cool instrument. Seems kind of hard though, but yeah, I'll go for it, Bob. And then no, he said it's actually like a government facility with all kinds of weird fucking antennas everywhere. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk about it. Right on. Well, and here's the other thing too. I mean, just so everybody knows, I mean, we haven't even really talked about it. It's supposedly responsible for every major natural disaster for the past 25 years. I'm not even going to break it down because there's just too many of them. But any hurricane, any earthquake, any tsunami,
Katrina. Yep.
Yeah, Katrina,
Haiti.
Yeah, everything, bro. The big earthquake in Japan or what have you.
Yeah, the tsunami in Japan that caused the Fukushima power plant nuclear meltdown.
You can't forget the downing of TWA Flight 800, Gulf War syndrome. No. That's HARP. That's not literally like the New Age shell shock or anything like that. That's HARP. That's all HARP thing. Chronic fatigue syndrome, which I'm not even sure what the fuck that is, but it says it. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about that too. So interesting.
So I can't really like say yay or nay. All I can say is this: that on the surface, with the facility that is there and the power that it has, I don't think that it can affect anything with the weather. Not at this facility in Alaska.
I agree. Now the one in Russia and Norway, that's fucking suspect.
Yeah, and even the one in Puerto Rico is much bigger.
Yeah. So maybe people should redirect their conspiracies to larger facilities that have way more power pumping to them that could actually be a threat, and then wait for a little bit of proof. That's all I'm saying. Now,
can it control our minds? I don't know.
Well, it told us to do this show, so there's that. I mean, maybe it told us to kind of make fun of it, dull it down, whatever, because we were really compelled to do this after my head started like feeling strange the other day. But anyways,
right after you took off the tinfoil hat.
Mm-hmm. So
Anyway.
weird and just strange timing is all I got to say. Because I wear my tinfoil hat to bed, and then I decided to take it off to scratch my head the other day when we were doing our meeting. And all of a sudden, here we are talking about HARP. That's weird.
It is weird. And then the powerhouse that is the University of Alaska Fairbanks. I mean, they could be involved in anything. That's like a global political organization, so you don't know.
Yeah, not to downplay Alaska or anything like that, but seriously, come on, let's move on. Yeah. Good though, because again, I could see why they called this. What they call this? They called this the Moby Dick of conspiracy theories, because it leaves the door open for so many. Because it's hard to understand. Even what we were talking about earlier, what they're actually doing up there, it's hard to explain unless you're a fucking scientist, dude. So I can see why it became a magnet for conspiracy theories.
Yeah, and it's just freaky looking. So there's that. It's electrical. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's a huge grid. It's freaky looking.
That reminds me of the movie Fargo, and the cop is asking the one girl that is asking about Steve Buscemi's character, and he's like, "Well, what would you say he looked like?" I don't know. He's just kind of funny looking. He's like, "Funny how?" He's like, "I don't know, just kind of funny looking." Because he is funny looking.
True story.
So what do you say we move on to the stiff? The truth.
We can move on to the stiff. I mean, we got to move on to something because it's halftime and I'm down by like 49 points. So.
Oh, baby, you're going to be okay, honey, baby. All right. Hey, if it makes you feel better, I'm losing this week in fantasy too. I got the Vikings defense that ended up with negative points, and that really just threw me out of the contesting running there. Plus,
but good for you for getting the Vikings defense. You're so brave.
Well, that's one way to put it, or stupid. Again, I think near the end of the draft there, I started getting this picking paralysis. And I was like, yeah, Vikings defense, whatever. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, I was like just like one instance away from just auto picking the rest, but then I was afraid of getting like 3 kickers. So I was like, I better not.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen with you.
I feel like round 12 for the last 4 rounds, you're like, I don't care. Fill out my bench computer.
Yeah. Well, I've never done that before. I'll be honest with you. I've never auto-picked. I'm too much of a control freak. That's what it is.
I've auto-picked on accident, and it was really sad.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Like, I had my auto-pick, like, I accidentally clicked auto-pick on, like, round 2 or 3, and I couldn't figure it out until, like, round 5 what was happening. And then I finally noticed it, but by then I'd already had, like, all of my good picks picked by the computer.
Tough times.
Anyway, enough about foosball. Foosball's the devil.
It really is. Ask Kathy Bates. She'll tell you. References from Waterboy. What is that, like a 1998 movie? That's fun times.
Oh, I don't know, man. It was from a minute ago. Oh,
Definitely.
Tropical Storm Sally is its name.
Hey, Sally.
Hey there, Sally. And it looks like it's going up the left side of Florida, too. The west coast of Florida, like
hitting Naples right now, a couple other places right around there. Yep. That's what I saw.
Oh yeah, that's a bummer.
Well, Bob, moving on. We're going to talk about some stuff here today. You want to still talk about stuff?
Some interesting stuff. I'm down to talk about stuff. So we want to kind of to hit on the topic that's very sensitive to people, I think, for different reasons.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of overall, human sexuality, at least how it exists in America. I stress America because it's not the same everywhere. No, there's a little bit more openness, and there's more closed-mindedness depending on what country you're in and what region. So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, 100%. So yeah, no, like, I mean, really talking really about sexual orientation, right? I mean, there's heterosexuality, there's homosexuality, there's asexuality. There's whatever Scott is.
There's whatever I am. I'm a cruel old mystery, everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of different facets there. So we wanted to dive in a little bit about just our thoughts, really, because this is our show. But our unique perspective on some of these things. I guess we'll talk about the overall issue that people have with the morality of having a different type of sexual orientation than what I guess is standard or whatnot. But also too, we were talking about this, gender roles, and specifically gender identification. That's something I think we want to touch on too, Bob. I'll let you just give it a go.
Well, so there's just interesting kind of scenarios that come to mind, right? There's rare scenarios like a person being born with both male and female genitalia,
just like me. Mm-hmm.
and then right then, oftentimes parents decide kind of which way to go, and they figured out right then, you know what, cut his dick off. That's a girl right there, or the other way around, So there's that, and then it's, well, how on earth can you make that decision? How do you know if they have both? Like, you're really what they're going to be. That's a very, very tough decision to make. Just planning your future out, and I would imagine that oftentimes that coin flip bites people in the ass.
Yeah, well, that's a rough one, dude. I mean, that's a very
rare.
That's a very rare situation, but I guess we can apply that situation to situations that are not like that. If you don't have, and you have a child, right, that identifies as a certain gender that is opposite to what they were naturally born into, when do you let that child take action on it? This is what we really think was kind of head scratching, in the sense of like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then I start thinking about children, me as a child, my child, and their capacity to think on their own and really think.
How dumb as fuck I was when I was like 12.
Exactly. Yeah. Not just that, but just not immature, I think, is a good word for it, meaning not really much is matured yet. And that's science. That's biology right there, right? The brain and being completely understanding of who you are and how to carry yourself and your surroundings, I don't really think is 100% matured till, I want to say, well into your 20s.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's been our experience, but you know what I mean? Like, I want to say that the last that I really kind of dived into this, I want to say that a lot of people kind of think that people finally understand kind of that maturity of their behavior, their understanding, their problem-solving skills. I think it's like 25 or something like that, which I think is very interesting because, I mean, this is a whole different debate, but we have, pretty much kids considered adults at 18 or 21, depending on what they're doing.
Well, so I read a book about just the physiology of the brain. It was written by a neuroscientist, a doctor. And in this book, this lady explains how the kind of stages of the brain and neural connections and kind of how the brain works. And then really it's around you're spot on there. It's your mid to early 20s. Your brain actually finishes developing and you become, what's considered to have an adult brain. So all up until that time, you're going through massive, ebb and flow of brain development from the time you're like 6 years old on. It's just, your brain makes a lot of movements. And then around adolescence, your brain kind of stops for a while of making neural connections and growing and developing. And then it picks up again around 15 or 16 again and starts getting wild again. And there's just the interesting things that are going on with the brain, and we don't really understand all of that. Now, having said that, it's very... What a difficult decision to have to make with your child if your 11-year-old comes up and it's just like, I think I'm a girl.
And you're like, well, no, the doctor said otherwise when you were born, so you're wrong.
Right. Well, your junk dangling down there probably tells me a different story.
You
right?
got to tuck that shit in.
And even then it's the kind of, as a parent, I would imagine, like, what an agonizing decision that you're stuck in is, like, you want to encourage and love and be there for your children for all of their tough decisions. But at the same time, you want to protect them from, making a wrong decision.
Regretful decisions at the end of the day,
So, and then where's the science at? And none of this is known right now. So I just couldn't imagine being put in that situation.
No.
To where, so you probably would for the health, mental health, for the physical development, for everything, probably be best to transition before puberty, I would imagine, especially if you're a male transitioning to a female, let's say, before you start, developing all this testosterone and hair and muscle mass building from HGH and all this other stuff. That it would be better to get on your hormone therapy and kind of nip that in the bud early, so that a post transition is much less. It's much less noticeable than if you would wait until you're like 20, right? And you're like a
Sure.
200-pound man at that point.
But
I would imagine.
Flip side is that sounds spot on for the physicality of it, but what about the mental aspect, right? If you're doing something before puberty, we are well beneath the time where you have the brain power and capacity mentally to know what the fuck you're doing. Honestly, I hate to say it. Children are not stupid in the sense that they're, dunce caps or what have you, but making that decision at that age, I can see a lot of people being, and maybe they may be wrong, but being regretful of these decisions before they actually are self-aware. So there's that aspect of it.
For instance, like, what if you've been transitioning since you were 12 years old, into becoming a male from a female, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize at 14, you're like, well, I'm not really a top. I don't really want to hammer down. I just didn't want to get nailed either. So I just want to be a female, but still be into chicks. You know what I mean? I didn't realize what those feelings were at the time. And I thought that, if I like girls, I must be a male. Well, no, it's perfectly normal to like girls and be a female also. So how do you define that? I mean, that's some splitting hairs, I would imagine, for like an 11-year-old person.
Sure. And then down the road when they're older, now I'm tuning in again. You know what I mean? When it's girl on girl.
Yeah, and the other way around.
No, I kid.
What if you're a boy and you're like, I really just want to get plowed through a wall, and that's my thing. But
so tactful, Bob. So tactful.
But instead, it's no. I meant as a dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't understand, like, man, to try to like understand and help someone trying to make those decisions before they've even like, gone through their sexuality and found themselves as a person. It's incredible to think of. And I really hope that there's, more science over the years that helps people make these decisions, because from what I understand, it's kind of terrible to try to retransition back after you've already started transitioning.
And I know it's a possibility, but it seems like there's a little bit of point of no return in my mind for a certain amount of things, especially if you're chopping off anatomy or like turning it inside out or doing things like that. Well, and here's kind of, I guess, my point of view and how I struggle with this, like you are too. It seems like there is going to be some stage of massive regret if this idea and this is not spot on as they continue to develop and become a grown person mentally and physically, right? So there's always that. So again, and I don't believe there really is any science that can be formulated to really help this. I think we're in uncharted territory here a little bit, is honestly what I think, because I think now we're jumping outside of science here. We're jumping into, and we're already jumping out of natural biology. I'll just go ahead and say that, right? I mean, when you start saying, hey, I was born a woman, I feel like I should be a man, back me up here with some data on what I should do. There's really nothing there in the sense that
well, there could be something there, Scott.
Yeah.
So early on, we're all born like what? Women? And then we get that chromosome or whatever that delineates the difference between a male or a female, like during formation, right?
It's the Bruce Willis chromosome that we get.
So maybe there is more to genealogy, and maybe there is more to science. We just don't know yet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's completely unknown. It's uncharted, and there's nothing really to follow it on a biological stance. So it's hard. It's very hard. So,
dude, what if you're that parent that makes that decision, and then in your mid-20s, you're like watching your child suffer with depression and fucking mental disorders because they're really struggling with the choice that was made. And they could even blame the parents.
Yeah.
How dare you help me make that choice when I was so young? Like, and then that's that whole risk that everybody's running there. It's just what a like, that's got to be like some of the most difficult situation you could ever be in with your child.
Yeah, I will say this, that is it's a nasty web of just what ifs, right? That's how I kind of really see that one. But I mean, jumping into something else too. I mean, just which I think is a little bit easier too. Just in general, the idea, and again, we talked about this last week too. There's a lot of people that have a really negative outlook on homosexuality or whatever it is, bisexuality, whatever, right? This is a lot easier for me to unpack. I think it's totally fine. You know what I mean? So just diving into that a little bit, because that's a sticky situation here. We start talking about gender switching and things like that. That gets rough. I mean, let's just face it too. If people are of age, if they're, and I'm going to say 20s beyond, if they decide to do something like Bruce Jenner, right? The guy was what?
Whatever.
Yeah. If you're like in your 50s, and you decide, hey, I've been a man that was an Olympian, and I've been through this ringer. I've been through, marriages and things like that. I'm done with this shit. I'm going to be a chick. Oh yeah. Do your fucking thing, bro. Handle your business. End up being woman of the year, which is a little strange, but sure. Yeah. Get it done. Right. So that's a little bit easier to unpack, easier to understand, easier to deal with. And I think this is too, a lot of people have a lot of trouble understanding homosexuality in general, right? There's a lot of people that say it's unethical, immoral, just blasphemy against biology, what have you. I'm not in that boat, Bob. I'm not in that boat at all.
I'm not either, man.
Yeah, and to literally have any problem with somebody that decides they are attracted to not the opposite sex but the same sex, what's your fucking problem? And I just have to say this as a stiff truth advocate here, is there's a lot of people that get bent out of shape about this, but usually it's grounded and comes from a point of moral righteousness, usually from the religious kind of standpoint, which again, you can go,
I would even take that farther, man, and say always from their religious standpoint. Because
sure.
If it's from a scientific standpoint, I don't think you can prove that.
No, I will say this. The reason why I said mostly is because there are those people that they want to bash, they want to do some gay bashing or whatever, and they take it to the ninth degree or what have you, and they're out there like just, making fun of people, maybe even hurting them, but deep down inside, they're homosexual, and they just don't want to face it. So there's those people too.
Don't be afraid to go fishing, man. If the spirit moves you. And I would say this, dude. I would even take it a step farther and say that homosexuality is a very natural thing in nature.
It's happened. It's happened since the beginning of time too.
And it's not just with humans. It's with a lot of animals. And monkeys. I can tell you, the last time my big ass horse dog was around this like pit bull that he was buddies with, man, they took turns trying to fuck each other the whole day.
I will tell you this right now. I got 2 male dogs. They love getting frisky with each other. They're always licking each other's penises. They're always dry humping each other. They really enjoy themselves. But I tell you what, I don't think they're gay at all. I think they're just practicing. They're getting ready for their turn.
Maybe they're just they're fluid. Maybe they're just fluid. And they don't really care.
And honestly, dude, and here's the other thing, dude. I'm a huge fan of David Bowie. Probably one of the best artists, musicians of all time. That guy, same thing with Freddie Mercury. They didn't give a fuck if you're a male or female. They just really enjoyed sex and deep kind of personal connections with whoever the fuck, right? I got that is one of those things where somebody is just sexual and they're not fucking really pigeonholed in a certain gender. More power to you. You know what I mean? I got no problem.
There wasn't a term for it back then. I mean, now it's called pan, right? I don't really care about your sexual orientation or your sexual gender. All I really care about is if I'm attracted to you as a person or not.
Sure.
Like that pansexual thing, which, whatever. I really don't have much invested like thought or time spent on what people do when they shut their bedroom door or leave it open. but I'm just saying that it's just not my thing. But whatever you guys want to do, I don't care. However you guys want to, get your rocks off, man. We're on this earth for a short period of time. You should take advantage of any opportunity that gives you, pleasure and doesn't have any expense at other people, and do what you got to do for the whole time that you're here. And I'm okay with that. I'm an advocate.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I will say this too. Bob's definitely an advocate because he wants you to leave the door creaked open a little bit so he can check it out. He's
Just a little.
He's just
the kids are at school.
He's
harm.
Slightly voyeuristic, and I love that about you, Bobby. You're always curious to see what's going on. No, I agree 100%. And what I've always said too, and this takes me way back too, because I used to say this about just homosexual men, right? A lot of people like very homophobic or what have you. And one of the biggest reasons I never had any problem with gay men, there's a couple of reasons. One, they're usually the nicest fucking people out there, right? That are just like super fucking genuinely nice. And I am generalizing because I'm just saying as a whole, most gay guys that I know are
the ones nice. That you've ran across.
Yeah, ones that I've ran across. There's probably some very, very aggro ones that would try to pin me down and fuck me in the ass. But that's mean. Don't do that to me. I don't want that. It's not warranted. I didn't ask for it. It's not. Don't solicit here. However, the other thing that I always thought was very interesting too, that for these guys that are extremely homophobic and they would go out there and try to gay bash and everything, just like, dude, calm down. The more gay men there are, they're opening up the pool, bro. There's more. There's less guys going after women now. Just like use that as a positive, bro.
That's true. If it's 50-50 and 15% of men are gay, that means there's 30% more women.
Hey, that sounds like some good fishing if you ask me. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I never understood why people got so bent out of shape with that. Unless, one, they were closet homosexuals, which, again, that's fine. Just come on out, though, bro. No reason to be mad about what you are. Or it's rooted in their religious superiority, which, again, is a sad thing, if you ask me.
Yeah, I've never quite understood the fear and the hate of homosexuality. Again, why would you have so much invested in how a stranger or a person that you don't know sexually choose to ejaculate? I just don't get it. It's very weird to me why people can get so focused on how other people are having sex or who they're having sex with. Like in the whole the argument that I've heard about a bunch of homophobic people, the things that we've seen, unfortunately, over the years, is, well, I'll be disowned by my parents. I think that's the strangest thing I've ever fucking heard.
Yeah.
Like, why would you disown your son about like who they're fucking? Why are you caring about your children fucking? That's weird.
Well, and here's the sad thing. When I think about how can this really affect this person so much, being the father or mother, right? They are literally so concerned about their image, and their child is a product of their image, that it literally damages their image. And I think that's where it really roots. You know what I mean? And that's really the sad part, is they're so fucking goddamn selfish that what their son or daughter wants to do with their own goddamn life, meaning how they want to please themselves and who they want to love or whatever, literally they feel comes back on them. Give me a fucking break and get the fuck out of here with that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, personally, as a parent, of several kids, I don't think that it's one of the checklist items that you need to be concerned about raising your children, right? It's, can they make good decisions? Can they make them on their own? Have you taught them to adult, right? Have you taught them to protect themselves? Have you taught them to love? Have you taught them to be happy? Have you taught them to be content with the things that they can't control? Have you taught them all of those life lessons so that they can be a well-rounded person and then teach those ideals to their children and your lineage? That's the part that you need to worry yourself about, not who they're fucking.
Honestly,
it's just always kind of blown me away when I've seen and I've heard stories about, like, parents that are just shunning their children, and I couldn't imagine, outside of like your child being a heinous murderer or like a pedophile or something crazy, how you could ever want to separate yourself from your children. It's just a weird thing.
And I'll just say this too. If they're a heinous murderer, if they're heinous in any way, then you got to maybe like be upset. But if they just like anus and they're not heinous, that's okay.
Heinous von Gainus.
Well,
So yeah, I think that's it. I think you guys pretty much know where we stand on this. We love our children, and we love them more than their sexual orientation.
Yeah, and it's no reflection on me, nor do I feel like have some kind of superiority complex to where whatever my child does it literally reflects on me in that sense. I think that's really sad, dude. I think that I think those parents, honestly, too, and the people that really get upset about their children's sexual orientation, to where they get so bent out of shape and they get so defeated that they feel they have to disown their family and whatnot. I think they got some bigger fish to fry. You know what I mean? Behind that, and that's something they need to address. But yeah, if if your daughter likes diving on muffs, fantastic. If your son likes sucking on Johnson, that's okay.
Yeah,
Whatever.
but in that case, shut the door.
Shut. You are.
It's not the same. There's lines that are drawn.
And as parents, we can say that. Look, if you're going to hang out with Bobby in the other room like that, just shut the goddamn door and turn the music up, please. I do not want to hear any of that shit. And that's personally.
Right. No one needs Christmas Vacation to be ruined like that. So there's a point in time where parents can scar their children, but then it switches around later where children can scar their parents. So keep that in mind, everyone. Keep it in mind.
Be respectful, right? If somebody is not homosexual and you project it on them or make them view it and they don't want to, that's bad too. I'll just say that, right? Because I'll say this: the only gay guys I don't like are the ones that are aggressive towards me or something like that. I haven't really experienced that much. Usually they're pretty nice when they buy me drinks, and I do accept the drinks, right? But if it went too far, I'd be like, hey, dude, like seriously, stop, like, get out of there, bro. What are you trying to do? Go in my back door. I don't like this. This is not fun anymore. But, then I give it a try.
That's only after you get your drink, though, right?
Oh, I make sure to get the drink first. Yeah, so it's like, oh, he was asking for it. He took my drink. No, guys.
I just want to let you know something very important. I'll have the 25-year-old McCallum. When that gets here, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Then you're all, hey, man, look, I don't swing that way, but thanks for the drink. I really appreciate it, man. It's been nice meeting you.
It's a $40 drink. It's awesome. It's been real.
And kudos to you. Well, hey, I think we can sum up here and say, yeah, the stiff truth, we're okay. We're okay with it. But more than that, I don't think it's even our decision. I don't think it's even something we should have a decision about, right? You know what I mean? When it comes to sexual orientation, I think people do what they fucking want to do, and that's it. As long as, like you mentioned, it doesn't negatively affect somebody else, then it's fair game, right? I mean, that's what we stand for here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stiff truth. It's okay to be gay. And really, I mean, it's okay transitioning everything. In my book, it's all okay. I just feel for that decision. Like, what a weight to have to like work through that decision as a child or as a parent, or even as an older child that's like in their 20s with their parents still talking about it, trying to work things out. Well, like, what a decision. I respect the hell out of that, because that's got to be tough.
I respect it, and I'm scared of it too. I will admit one thing: I never want to have to make that decision. I hope I don't. And that's just me kind of hoping for, like, maybe a fairy tale type fucking existence or what have you. But that meaning, though, that's a really tough one, bro. Especially at a young age. So kudos to everybody out there that is different, because different is fucking cool.
Yeah, I agree. We could all practice a little bit of tolerance. I think that, especially in 2020, I think that everything can go a little bit smoother. There's enough cultures out in the world that are super intolerant of just us as Americans in general, that we probably don't need to add gas to those fires, and we should probably at least try to work things out and be tolerant of each other.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob, I've got a little bit of margarine over here that I could, put on myself, and it'll go really smooth. You know what I mean? Slip and slide right on in there.
I don't do margarine, okay? You make that Kerrygold and we'll talk.
Hey,
I need my good fats.
Hey, that's great Irish butter, and you know where they got big tubs of it? Costco, baby.
Of course they do.
I'll make sure I lather up with some of that before I come over, and then, like I said, Slip and slide, smooth sailing, buddy.
Smooth as silk, sailor. So
Woo!
that's it, man. I believe that you could probably send us on out this week.
Yeah, dude. No, guys, I know. Again, a little bit of a unique show, but we're gonna try to keep dialing things in and keep things fun. I hope you guys had a great time. I know me and Bobby always have a great time. If you guys haven't already, it's by the time you hear this, you probably will. Really enjoy that NFL football, guys. It's super uber exciting to have it back. We got 2 games tomorrow. We got Bobby's team duking it out tonight with the Los Angeles Rams. So get in there, check it out. Check us out too if you haven't already. We still do this on YouTube. It seems a little bit like a ghost town over there on YouTube. That's okay. Maybe people are just, more of audio kind of folks. That's fine. But like, subscribe.
I'm into that. I've got a face for radio.
Yeah. He really does. But but other than that, guys, check us out. Write a review on iTunes for us, man. Listen to us on Spotify. We love you all, guys. And again, we will see you next week with some more exciting shit that me and Bob are going to kick around just like a can and have a good time. So until then, enjoy, and we love you all.
See you, Stiffies. Bye.